YouTube. How's everything going on with you guys in these wonderful times that we live in today? It's your boy Pissed, and I'm venturing out into these YouTube streets again with kind of want to say another one, but technically it's my first one, or I should say my first official video of Pissed Gaming. So with that being said, hello, it's your boy Pissed, blah blah blah. You already know from the episode 0. It's been a while. I think I said in the last video I wanted to have at least a minimum of one video a month, because I know one thing I need to work on is consistency. And I said 1 month is the, I should be able to meet that. Technically in my head I had at least twice a month, but 1 month is the minimum. That video was towards the beginning of January, and here we are on the 26th of February. So if I'm going to meet this minimum 1 month, I have to do it today. So here I am. But during that time, I've been doing what I do, listen to a whole bunch of things like I say I do. And today our discussion is going to be acquisitions. And since I made that first video, the gaming industry has been abuzz with acquisitions. I think the first one, just from the beginning of this year, let's see, Take-Two bought Zynga for, I believe, $12 billion. And then right after that, Microsoft announced that they was going to buy or acquire Activision Blizzard, who also owns King. And that was for $68.7 billion. And then, not that much longer after that, Sony announced that they was acquiring Bungie for, I want to say, $3.7 billion, somewhere around in there. And then just recently, Nintendo announced they was acquiring SRD. And I didn't have any, idea what that total was for. And it would have been in yen anyway. Would have had to do some type of conversions. But the question is, what does all this mean? And so let's discuss it. Take-Two is the publisher, and do Take-Two owns Rockstar? I believe Take-Two owns Rockstar. But they're a big publisher, and they bought Zynga, who is also a big mobile publisher. Matter of fact, I think they might be the biggest mobile publisher. I've heard of across various podcasts and YouTube videos that I've been listening to or whatnot. I believe that they said that Zynga might be or is the biggest mobile publisher. So Take-Two buys Zynga, which means Take-Two is now also in the mobile business. And then right after that, like I said, Microsoft announces that they are acquiring Activision for the $68.7 billion, which is I want to say, well, it's definitely the biggest, acquisition that Microsoft as a company, not just their gaming division, Microsoft themselves, as the big whole conglomerate, has ever made. So two things that one of the main things that let you know is that Microsoft is serious about gaming. So that's the first off. And of course, with Microsoft being Microsoft, people are, as soon as Microsoft do anything, especially as far as acquiring things, because like I say, they're putting forth to acquire Activision, but a few years ago, they also acquired ZeniMax. And ZeniMax was also a big publisher, because ZeniMax, under ZeniMax, there's Bethesda, there's id, there's um, Machine Games, there's Tango Gameworks, there's Arcane. It's like 12 different studios up under ZeniMax. Don't forget ZeniMax online. But they did that for 8.7 million. Actually, I might have it wrong. Let's just say 8 million. For some reason, that 7 is sticking in my head. But they did that for 8, and I said million, excuse me, billion. They did that for 8 billion, and people thought that, at that time, just a couple years ago, was, a big amount of money for Microsoft to be putting into gaming. So, and ZeniMax or Bethesda has some of the most loved RPGs in their portfolio, and the possibility of them being exclusive to Microsoft and their Xbox and their platforms scares some people, because some people don't like Microsoft, some people don't want an Xbox, but they love those games. So if they love those games, there's a big disconnect there, because they want to play those games, but they don't want to support Microsoft. And so you have that big dichotomy. So you take that, but then you multiply that 8 billion by almost a factor of 10, or let's just say 8, because 8 times 8 is 64. 64 plus a few other billion, it gets you to that 68.7 billion. So you take that and you multiply it, that factor of people not wanting their Elder Scrolls to be exclusive to Microsoft, they not wanting their Fallout to be exclusive to Microsoft, they not wanting their Wolfenstein to be exclusive to Microsoft, and so on and so forth. Now you take that and you apply it to the biggest game every year that has been released for the last 12 years or so, and that's Call of Duty. Activision owns Call of Duty. So Microsoft buying Activision means that they also get Call of Duty, which now the question is Call of Duty going to be exclusive on Microsoft platforms? It's a possibility. Microsoft has a history of honoring existing contracts, and then at that point they'll do it on a game-by-game basis of whether something is going to be exclusive or not. That Call of Duty is in that mix now. So the question that's on everybody's mind is, what are the current contracts? Because again, Microsoft has a history of honoring them, so they will most likely honor everything that's currently, contractual. And then from there, what would Microsoft do with Call of Duty? Because it's a lot of people that has PlayStations that have been playing Call of Duty for the last decade, we'll just say the last decade. And they like their Call of Duty on their PlayStation, and they only get a couple games a year, and Call of Duty is one of them. So are they going to have to stop playing Call of Duty, or are they going to have to buy something that Call of Duty comes out on? Microsoft has also been putting their games on the PC. They put them on their Xbox. Microsoft also has this subscription service called Game Pass, and one of the quotes from Phil Spencer, who at the time was the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. He was the CEO of Xbox. Now he's the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. He's gotten a promotion, and that's well deserved also, if I throw in my little 2-cent opinion. But so Microsoft has this service called Game Pass, and with Game Pass, you pay up a fee every month or whatever, and you get access to over, at this, Microsoft marketing says over 100 games. But the thing is, almost from like day 5 or day 1 or what, I mean, they have over 100 games. They got over 300 games in there almost at all times that you have access to for $10 a month, or for the Ultimate $15 a month. And Ultimate also gives you access to Game Pass on the PC, which also has a certain number. It's not nowhere near as high as the ones that's on the console, but it also has a good selection of games in there. And it also gives you access to be able to play the games on the go on your phone or your tablet or whatnot, either with touch controls, or allows you to hook up a Bluetooth controller and you can play games on the go on your phone, blah, 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 yak smack, whatever. Just not trying to be a Game Pass thing. But the people that want to play Call of Duty would need to get an Xbox, get a PC, or, play through Game Pass or whatever on some service that Game Pass comes on. And the speculation is Microsoft is trying to bring Game Pass to a slew of things. So, it could be exclusive to Microsoft, but at the same time, Microsoft is easily the most accessible company out there as far as you can play their games. And so that's one thing. But again, there's some people, F Microsoft, they don't care, whatever. And it's like, whatever, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Since that news came out, there's been, again, it's the hot button topic. Is Microsoft gonna, hold on to Call of Duty or whatever? They have committed to this year's, well, first off, the deal with Activision is not going to be done before, most likely won't be done before June of next year. So Activision is still Activision until that time. So Activision operation does everything that they do normally, and you go from there. So this year's Call of Duty, Activision is still their own company, so it's business as usual. So this year's Call of Duty is still coming out on PlayStation and everything else, just like it always has. Next year's Call of Duty is kind of up in the air. But there have been a couple quotes from a couple people in Microsoft that says that, one, like I said, they'll honor existing contracts. They also said that they express just the wording for some people on this, but they have a desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, and they don't want to alienate PlayStation users from, games that they, have been playing and loving or whatever. So a lot of people take that and says that they're going to keep Call of Duty on the PlayStation. And they just may. Who knows, who cares? I personally, because I believe I told y'all in the other video, I personally, the Microsoft versus Sony or Xbox versus PlayStation, I fall more on the Xbox side, but I'm a gamer. I've been playing games since the Atari 2600. I've owned the Atari 26, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Dreamcast, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Xbox One, original Xbox. There was a stupid name, Xbox One. The original Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now a Series S. I did not buy a PlayStation 4, and as of right now, don't have a PlayStation 5. I may get one if I see it, especially because there's something else that's going to come up later on with PlayStation Spartacus, or their quote-unquote analog to Xbox Game Pass. But that's going to be a different video. But I'm not opposed to getting a PlayStation, because PlayStation also has great exclusives and things like that, could want to play. And Need a PlayStation to get it. So if I want to play it, I give me a PlayStation. No big deal. So regardless of all of that, that's the question. But everybody, the thing with this is that everybody, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, you know. And to me, the big deal in the acquisition is not even Call of Duty, because Microsoft, or the CEO, Phil Spencer, way back, years back, said that he wanted to bring gaming to 3 billion people. Now, even the best-selling console, so I want to say in the neighborhood like 150 million console sales. So you don't get to 3 billion people selling to at most 150 million console sales. You know, so Microsoft, they want console, they want PC, and they also want mobile. And what a lot of people don't realize is that mobile is, I don't know which one is bigger, PC or mobile. But mobile is pretty damn big. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's bigger than PC. I think it is, but I don't know for sure. I didn't see I don't remember the pie chart as far as where PC and mobile land up next to each other. But let's say that PC and mobile and consoles are on the pie chart. Consoles would take up not even 25% of that pie chart. And I'm talking about all consoles. I'm talking about Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, all of that. You know, they would not even take up 25%, and the rest would be split up between PC and mobile. Consoles, as far as gaming, as far as a whole, is small. It's small potatoes, as they say. So the big deal in this whole Activision acquisition is not Activision, it's King. Activision also owns King, and King, for anybody, or everybody knows Candy Crush. King is the people behind Candy Crush. They're also behind a whole bunch of other things on the mobile thing. I believe King, like I said, Zynga, I think, was number 1, and King is number 2 in mobile. So just like Take-Two is getting into mobile, this would springboard and allow Microsoft to get into mobile and, you know, get a big foothold in that particular market. And this is the big thing, you know. So everybody is talking about, okay, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. Microsoft, I hate to assign things towards people or entities that, I don't know. I'm not in their board meetings. I take that back. I have talked to Phil through a message once, and he did message me back. So I can't necessarily say I never talked to Phil, but I messaged him and he messaged me back. But I don't know Phil. Phil don't know me. But I don't know anything, and I hate to ascribe what trillion-dollar corporations would or wouldn't do with their trillions or billions or whatever, how many, you know, B's or T's you want to put behind their money, you know. Just don't do that. But when you can sit back and take a step back, and like I said, Microsoft is trying to get to 3 billion players or whatever. You do that through mobile, and they got to go through an approval process to get, you know, this all done or whatever. And Call of Duty, a series that's been released yearly. Let's not even take Microsoft out of this conversation for a second. Call of Duty has been released yearly, every year since 2005 or something like that. Definitely since 2007, when the first Modern Warfare came out, is when it really took off. But it has been released every year. There has been a Call of Duty every year. Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. that's one thing about Activision. They know how to run a franchise into the ground, regardless of, like I say, take Microsoft out of it because this is all Activision right now. And Call of Duty has been running for, what, 2007 is now 15 years. 15 years thus far, every year, Call of Duty. And that franchise needs a break regardless, because it's just every year expected. You get the same things. You get your multiplayer, depending on which publisher. You get your zombies, you get your story, and blah blah blah. You can smack whatever, and it's just Call of Duty, and they need to take some time off and rejigger it. You know, it got a good shot in the arm 2 years ago when they introduced Call of Duty Warzone, their battle royale. And a lot of people has been playing that and continues to play it to this day. They've been, doing various things with it. I myself didn't personally like Warzone because I'm not a big battle royale person. But, a lot of people play it, a lot of people love it. And, you got that going for it. But Call of Duty has been needing to take a break forever. But that's Activision's, on the console side, cash cow. And Activision about making money. And so as long as it's selling, they're going to put it out there. They got 10 studios, I believe, working on Call of Duty. And the main studios, they got 3 main studios. They got Sledgehammer, they got Treyarch, and they got Infinity Ward. And they put them on a 3-year cycle. And Sledgehammer released 1 year, Infinity Ward released the next year, and then Treyarch released the 3rd year, and it's back to Sledgehammer. And then it's Infinity Ward, or whatever order I put them in. They keep going or whatever. And so that's it. Activision is the Call of Duty machine. So like I said, they got 3 main studios, and then they got like 7 support studios. And these are studios that's been doing, they can make all different kind of games or whatever. Toys for Bob did Skylanders back in the early teens or whatever. They killed Skylanders and put them on Call of Duty. Other studios been on Call of Duty. We don't care what you can do or what you have done. This is the Call of Duty. We need Call of Duty every year, so you're working on Call of Duty. And so you got 10 studios working on the same franchise. And they also, most likely, want to work on something else. They want to break from Call of Duty. You get franchise fatigue. Also, sure, you get tired of working on the same first-person shooter day in and day out, every day. Whether you push out one Call of Duty and then you right back to helping on the next one that's coming out next year or whatever. And so it's also the thinking that they can take a break. They can work on other things that they have maybe wanted to work on in the future if Microsoft does get them, and that would be welcome. As far as I'm concerned, in my head, like I said, Call of Duty needs to take a break, and that's one thing that Microsoft can do, is to get our franchise, give us time to miss it, for one. Give us time to miss it, and also give them time to innovate more than, we're going to cause another thing that Call of Duty does is it takes old maps and bring them back with a new coat of paint on it. But it's the same map. But now, as far as, the most notorious thing is Newtown. I don't even know how many versions of Newtown there is. And Newtown is the smallest map. I ain't gonna say the smallest because I think Rust might be smaller, but Newtown is, you got a house on one side of the street, you got a house on another side of the street. It has a backyard. Both of them has a backyard, excuse me. There's a 2nd floor in both houses, and there's a garage to the right side of each house. Then you got a street, and you got a couple buses in the middle of the street, and then at the far ends of the streets, there's some things, cars or stuff to hide behind. But that's Newtown. I just explained the whole map to you. But I know it's at least 3 to 4, maybe even more versions of Newtown. And everything I described, that's every Newtown map. It looks different, but it's the same map. You got a retro Newtown, you got a futuristic Newtown, you got a present day Newtown, and whatever, but it still plays the same. It looks different, but it plays the same. And they do that with a whole bunch of stuff. So they're not innovating. They're not, coming up. Well, I won't say that because they do have new maps, but they keep going back to the old ones that everybody, liked or whatever. Like Fire and Range is another good one that's out there. Crash from the first Modern Warfare. Was it Crash? Might be Crash from the first one. Also gets remade a lot. So, but they're remaking a whole bunch of things. Now they remade the original Modern Warfare a couple years ago. This year, I believe it's supposed to be Modern Warfare 2 remaster. So now they're remastering the whole games of, from 13 years ago, whatnot, in the sense they're not even innovating. It's like, okay, well, it's been enough time that passed. We can, go back and remake the older games in the newer technology, which is good because, if you go back to those other older ones, they may play great, but they don't necessarily look great. And so that's one of the benefits of remastering is you bring old favorites up to today's graphics and looks. And, it tends to feel better, and that's one of the things that they've been doing. And, it's cool, but at the same time, it's not a new game. They're in a way selling you something that you've already bought before. In a way, depends on what extra else they throw in there, how far has technology advanced since then, how many other quality of life things that they add to it. It all depends, but the core of the game is still the same though. So you have that to look at it. And so, like I was saying, Call of Duty needs a break. Microsoft can give them their break. Instead of having 10 studios work on it, they can, go down. Oh shoot, at least 5. At least 5, but they could cut that down to just have 3 studios work on it and, put it out every 2 or 3 years, not every year. And, then those people that they free up, they can allow them to work on other things like Tony Hawk. I may be a little selfish or whatever, but I used to love Tony Hawk. I played all the Tony Hawk games, and they actually did just but they did have a Tony Hawk game that released a couple years ago that was actually pretty damn good. It was a remake of Tony Hawk 1 and 2 with today's graphics and things like that. So they took the old game, made it look pretty, added some quality of life things and put it back out there, and I bought it and I ate it up, and I love it, and I do want to see more. I want to see Tony Hawk 3 and I actually want, I don't want them to just remake all the Tony Hawks, although if they did, I'd bet if they throw, a few of them in together. Okay, this is Tony, like I said, they did 1 and 2 together. I believe that they should be able to get 3 because Tony Hawk 1, 2, and 3 had the same format. I believe 4 diverged, and so while it wasn't the quite open world that some of the later ones added, they did change up the formula enough to it's not going to be an easy conversion to add that to the other ones, but it's possible Tony Hawk 3 could be DLC for Tony Hawk 1+2. But regardless, they can work on that. Another thing they can do is bring back Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero is another thing that I love, and I would like for it to come back. Bring out well, I don't have one because I don't keep old gaming stuff. I always give it away, but I would love to purchase another plastic guitar and get to playing some more songs and things like that would be great. So they could do that. Do you remember DJ Hero? That was pretty cool, but that also was pretty niche. But that's another one that they could bring back, maybe add something to it, because they didn't they didn't drive that particular one into the ground. But they only had 2 DJ Hero games. They arguably kind of drove Guitar Hero to the ground, but it's been gone long enough where you could bring it back, and I think we'll find a decent audience. So, Activision needs some new blood. They need people to, I ain't gonna say people, but they need some new blood. They need freedom to do other things at Microsoft. One of the things they've been doing with the acquisitions is giving the people the room, the freedom to do the things that they want to do, because they have Game Pass, and no matter when it's ready, they throw it in Game Pass, and it's a subscription service, so they are getting anything. They're not relying on sales, because they're putting it in Game Pass. You can still buy it and add sales, but it's also going to Game Pass, and the people that subscribe get to play it and everything like that. So you got that. Now the question is, or one of the things that comes to play is Microsoft and by Activision Blizzard in the first place, and how did this come about? Because I can almost say, again, don't know anything about how trillion-dollar companies move and operate, but this kind of fell in their lap. Activision has last year got sued by the state of California from a whole bunch of different allegations of sexual misconduct, worker misconduct, and all kind of things that the state of California, they did an investigation. They found a lot of stuff wrong there, and so they stepped in and sued Activision, the state of California, not an individual person, whatever, but the state said, whoa, Activision, what the fuck y'all doing? What are y'all doing here? And so when that happened, I believe at the time, the highest Activision stock was somewhere around 95, or maybe just over 100 at 105, somewhere around in there. But their stock fell, or I should say maybe not what it was, but what it was valued at, because I think what it was valued at was like 95 or 105 or whatever. Like if somebody was going to try and buy them, you got to come up with 105 billion to buy us, son. So whatever, and that's just to get the thing back. But you take a company that you need 105 billion to buy, and then the state of California decides to sue them, and then their stock plummets, or I ain't gonna say plummets, it's not like it's worth pennies, but the stock takes a tumble, and now you don't need 105 billion to buy them. You only need 69 billion. That's, if you're in the market to buy, that's like a 40% savings. A 30% savings. People buy stuff 30% off all the time. In effect, Activision Blizzard was 30% off. And Microsoft like, I'm sitting over here with 100 billion in my pocket. I need to buy games. I want to get into mobile. I'm trying to reach 3 billion people that they said years ago. We need to jump on this. And so it's been said that that deal started going into effect in November of last year. Now, one of the things that you'll also find out is that billion-dollar deals take a long time to come together. They take a long time to come together. They start doing things or whatever, and they be working on it for like a year or more before they announce anything to the public, because they got to make sure that all the ducks in a row and this, that, and the other, blah, 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 it's matter, whatever. But if they started working on this in November and they announced it in January, that's only 2 months. 2 months, maybe 3. Depends on how you want to, at what part of November. But January 18th is January 18th, right around January 18th is when they announced that they was acquiring them. So regardless, that is a very short amount of time for the biggest acquisition of Microsoft history to get put on the table. And the reason why is because this would allow them to catapult what I think are their plans. Excuse me. Like I said, I don't like assigning, like I know what's going on in corporate boardrooms, because I don't. But if you take this and you take everything that comes with Activision, and if Microsoft was to try and do this, on their own, homegrown, this, that, and the other, get a studio here, get some studios there, get a publisher here, get a publisher, smaller publishers or whatnot, it would take them a while to get to, where they would get all in this one deal. So I believe that's why they went ahead and jumped on it, because again, it'll catapult their 3 billion gamer reach plans probably 5 to 10 years in just one fell swoop. So with that being said, people is wondering about consolidation in the industry, because like I said, you got Microsoft, and everybody constantly worried about Microsoft and consolidation back from their antitrust days back in the 80s, not the 80s, to in the late 90s and early 2000s. And anytime Microsoft does something, it's like, hey, wait a minute, that's a monopoly, because Microsoft is name is synonymous with monopolies, like that. What was it, Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley that does Monopoly? Maybe it's Hasbro. Regardless, I don't know who owns the Monopoly rights right now, but you say Microsoft and you immediately think Monopoly. And anytime Microsoft does anything, especially on this scale of the tune to $68.7 billion, or as I like to say, $69 billion rounded up, those concerns are going to come out, and they're valid. They're valid. Anytime somebody does anything, you should check and see if it's a monopoly or not, or whatnot. And like I said, Microsoft with, Bethesda got, let's just say 10, I think it was 8 studios. And now with this Activision thing, I don't even know how many studios that they got across Activision and Zynga and King. Not Zynga, but Activision, King, and Blizzard, to tell you the truth. But I think their total numbers of studios is still under 40. It's just right around like 38, 37, maybe 39, right around in there. And so, and then as far as gaming revenue on a whole, the hierarchy or the number of people or who makes the most is entity known as Tencent, who is kind of backed by the Chinese government or whatnot, but they're a Chinese conglomerate or something like that. Don't get me to spitting a whole bunch of I ain't gonna say lies, but stuff I don't know about. I don't know about Tencent that much, but I know they got some Chinese connections. They're a China company or whatever. But Tencent is number 1, and then Sony PlayStation is number 2, and then in a distant 3 is Microsoft. And this is before the proposed acquisition. Now, after the proposed acquisition, the hierarchy would be Tencent, still number 1. It would be Sony, still number 2. And it's going to be Microsoft, still number 3. So the hierarchy doesn't change. Microsoft is still number 3 as far as gaming revenue in the industry. And so, so it's not, they would not be gaining a monopoly because they're number 3. And even with this acquisition, they'll still be number 3. They'll be a whole lot closer to number 2, but they're still number three. If you worried about monopolies, then you would need to look at both Tencent and Sony if you're trying to make sure that there's no monopolies in the industry. You got to look at them two first before you be looking at Microsoft and you know, to stop a monopoly. So then it goes from, okay, well, Microsoft is not getting a monopoly. And then also just going back to the number of studios that I mentioned, like I said, they still have like under 40, but there's another entity or group or publisher, game publisher called Embracer. Their Embracer group is a big investment thing or whatever, but Embracer group has like, I know they have at least 70. I want to say they got 90 developers or studios under their banner, under the Embracer group, publishing things. So, you might, look and say, Microsoft, they got 80, excuse me, not 80, Microsoft, they got 38. Let's just say 40. I know it's just under 40, so they said Microsoft got 40 studios. That's a whole lot of studios be having, but then you got Embracer Group that has at least twice as many as they do. So Microsoft still has room to expand it, even if you count number of studios. They're not the first or whatever. As far as having the most studios. So it's a lot of things. So now, people is also worried about consolidation in the game industry, and that's a thing that's a valid concern, because you got Microsoft consolidating, you got Sony consolidating, and this, that, and the other, and people's worried about big tech coming in. You got Apple. No, take Apple out of that. You have Google. A few years ago, they released Google Stadia, their streaming service, and they bought up a few studios and everything to develop games and put into exclusively Google Stadia. You also got Amazon, who's looking to get into game streaming, excuse me. And they're also buying, studios or whatever to put into their service called Luna. And so you have these big, corporations that's looking to get into gaming, because gaming is awesome and gaming is a big market, as I've, been saying or whatnot, and they want to get into it and get a piece of that pie also. So the question is, or the thing is, I should say, is people is worried about, these other companies coming in, because, they want these things to stay the same. And I also want the things to stay the same. Also, though, I have a long enough history to know that things change. Before it wasn't the Atari, and Atari was running things until they ran into the ground, and then we had the no games for a while, and then Nintendo came out, and you had Nintendo and Sega, and for a good while it was Nintendo, Sega, and then the big technology company, no, I take that back, it was Nintendo and Sega. Then you also had the TurboGrafx 16. Atari also had the Jaguar or whatever, but they never really hit big. And then the technology changed, and CDs were becoming a new format that you wanted to put games on. And so then you had a whole bunch of tech people, or not tech people, but tech companies that wanted to get in on gaming. You had 3DO, which was it was a game system, but it was developed by like 3 different hardware corporations, I believe. They were using the same like code or whatever, but each one put out their own box or whatnot. So you had that, and you also had, well, NEC was just video games, but they was also there, but they was so expensive that almost nobody could, get them or whatnot. But you had tech companies, coming in and getting there, and you also had one other tech company come in, Sony. You know, Sony came in 95 or 94 if you count Japan before America, but I'm an American, so I count 95 for America when the PlayStation was released. And big tech came in and take over gaming, and it was Sony. And so Sony came in, they released the PlayStation. Everybody loved the PlayStation. Everybody jumped on the PlayStation, and PlayStation is the big brand that it is today. But before 95, Sony was not in gaming, at least not the hardware. They may have had some games here or there that they got people to develop that they licensed or whatnot, but they was not in hardware. And in 95, they came in and changed game or whatever. And then a few years after that, Microsoft did it. But their PlayStation was firmly entrenched. Microsoft has had a hard time, you know, trying to get to the place where PlayStation was. They still not there. They may never get there, but you know, Microsoft jumped in on gaming, and they've been here since like 2002. You know, 20 years in. They're like 20 years in, but big tech came in 95 and like 2002. Big tech came in to make their mark on gaming, and now it seems like the cycle is looking to continue or come back around, and you got Google and Amazon coming in. You got Facebook coming in. Facebook has the Oculus Rift and things like that, you know, that they getting in, and they need developers for and stuff like that. So people is averse to big tech coming in and consolidation, and their favorite games being tied to a particular machine that they don't want, or whether they don't own and or don't want. And it's a valid concern. It is. And, you know, we have to wait and see, but, you know, things happen, things shake out. The market has seemed to always be able to support 2 to 3 big players, and then everybody else falls to the wayside. And right now, it's Sony, it's Microsoft, and it's Nintendo. And is it going to stay that same? For now, yes. But there's a chance Amazon, there's a chance Google, might be even a chance Apple. I don't think Apple is really in there like that, but you never know. Because they had an iPhone, they had the apps, the Apple Arcade and things like that. But they're more of a storefront, not necessarily putting their own stuff out there. But every time they release a new phone, they talk about the gaming capabilities of it, the graphics, and this, that, and the other. And you know, you never know. They could have the, they could already have developers that's putting games on the iPhone or iOS that's Apple specific, and I just don't know, which means that they're already in the gaming, because every iPhone is a console that's Apple's hardware. And they, again, like I said, they got Apple Arcade, and they also got the App Store. They're already in the hardware game. They're already in the gaming business. I just don't know if, you know, they could be silent partners in a whole bunch of things on the thing. I mean, they are already silent partners because they get 30% of every App Store sale. So Apple is in gaming. You got Epic with their game store. You got Steam with their game store. Steam also makes games, and Steam also just released the, or I should say, Valve, who owns Steam. They just released the Steam Deck, and I'm looking forward to getting that and checking it out, because it allows you to play your video games on the go, your PC video games on the go. Again, like I say, Valve owns Steam. Steam released the Steam Deck, allows you to play almost your whole Steam library on the Steam Deck, which looks like a Nintendo Switch, and you can take them with you and play it wherever. And the thing is, if you have a PC or whatever, Steam is always throwing sales. They always have sales, and they're always putting their games on sale. So people amass big catalogs of games that they never play, and count me right along in there. But one of the things, hopeful things, is you get the Steam Deck, and you could take your Steam Deck with you, and you can start chipping away at that catalog. And because the Steam Deck allows you to play your games on the go, so that's another thing. But big tech is peeking over the fence over at gaming, like, you know what, I think I might want to get in a little piece of that pie or whatever. And changes are coming, or change could be a coming. Again, I'm not a futurist, I don't know, but it could be coming. It could be a change going on here. Everybody's talking about this metaverse thing, and even with the announcement of Microsoft acquiring Activision, metaverse was mentioned. I'll tell you right now, I have no idea what this whole metaverse crap is. I'll find out when it comes to. But I have talked, I don't know how long, about Microsoft. So we're going to move on to the next one, because we 51 minutes in, and still got a couple other acquisitions to talk about. And the next one is Sony. And Sony, like I said, they acquired Bungie for $3.7 billion. And, so everybody was talking about, okay, Bungie, the creators of Halo, they made Halo 1, 2, 3. They also did ODST, and they also did Halo Reach. For me, that was my origins of Bungie. They also did Marathon and Durandal or whatever, but those were old PC games before I had a PC. And when you try to go back to certain things at a certain time, technology has moved on, and you're like, ugh. And I think I tried Marathon. I think that was my impression or whatever. But they're the creators of Halo, and then they got their independence, and then they did Destiny, and they're a Destiny studio now. And so they did Destiny, and they had an exclusive publish, or some type of exclusive thing with Sony, where the certain content was locked to Sony, even though the games was on both or multiple consoles. We'll say multiple consoles, and also the PC, but some content was locked strictly to Sony because they had some type of publisher deal with them. And it was supposed to be, I remember it's supposed to have been like a 10-year plan or whatnot going into Destiny, and it's going to be a 10-year plan, and it's a live service. And like I said, they had a thing with Sony, and but at some point that deal with Sony kind of fell through. They was, I don't want to say gained their independence or whatever it was, but they was working close with Sony. Then they said, okay, we're not working with Sony, or Sony let them go. But could be because of, I don't know, I don't want to say game sales, because Destiny's pretty popular or whatnot. It does pretty decent. But whatever it was, their partnership kind of fell through, and Bungie went back to being kind of a freelance. And so it was announced, like I said, they bought them for $3.7 billion. And so it's kind of weird that, y'all working together, y'all had this thing, and then y'all like, not necessarily working out, we're just going to go back to doing our own thing. And then the next thing is, you know what, we're going to buy you. And we're going to buy you, and we're going to still let you do your own thing. That's the part about this, is that Sony is buying Bungie, but Bungie is basically still keeping their creative freedom, and they can still have Destiny or whatever games that they want to release. They can still be multi-platform. So this is one of the things that was quite surprising to me, myself, and I, because it's always Sony in the past has, let's say, not been playing nicely with other people because they was the big dogs in the house. Last console generation, Fortnite wanted to have everybody play with everybody regardless of what console you was on. As they say, cross-platform play or whatnot. Sony was like, no. Microsoft was like, yeah. Switch was like, yeah. I believe Switch was, or Nintendo was like, yeah. I believe. I don't necessarily know, but I know for sure Microsoft was like, yeah, let's do it. And it was like, no. Sony was like, definitely like, no, or whatever. There was even the incident where they accidentally turned on cross-platform play, and for a while everybody was playing with each other, and it wasn't that long, but you know, somehow it accidentally got turned on, and it could have been a way just to prove that yes, y'all all can play with each other. It's just that, you know, certain people or corporations don't want y'all to do so. And so there was kind of a uproar or whatever within the gaming community and this, that, and the other. Eventually, you know, with Fortnite being the biggest game, you know, on the planet or whatever, cross-platform play got turned on for everybody or whatnot. But even after that, Sony had what might as well be called a cross-platform tax. And what they did, or what that tax was Sony was expecting a certain amount of revenue every month from, you know, whatever games. Not just Fortnite, but this is going forward. They finally start allowing cross-play or whatever. You can have cross-play. This is Sony saying you can have cross-platform play. No problem. Only thing is, if we don't get this certain amount of revenue that we were expecting from your game every month, you have to pay us a certain amount to make up for that revenue difference. So this was their stance. This is so they made it hard for people to have cross-platform play or whatnot. This is documents that came out in this Epic versus Apple lawsuit that's going on or whatever. This came out last year. That Sony has a cross-platform tax. So, you know, Sony having this cross-platform tax and not wanting to play nice and this, that, and the other. One of the things that's been said was, you know, Sony, you know, especially everybody always asking, is this game going to be exclusive with Microsoft making all these acquisitions? And one of the things that's always been said was like, y'all wouldn't be asking this if it was on Sony because you already know it would be exclusive. You know, Sony is not going to buy, you know, something and then still put their games out everywhere. That's not Sony's way. And for the most part, I can think that that's been true. But Bungie, and them allowing Bungie to still have the creative freedom and still allowing Bungie to put their games or be multi-platform, that changes that narrative. You can't just say, automatically say that, you know, Sony, you know, wouldn't do this or whatever, because, you know, with them coming out and saying that their games will still be multi-plat, they changes that narrative, and that's a good thing, because I ain't gonna say exclusives suck, but I get tired of the console war and everybody's talking about this and that and blah, blah, blah. Yes, man, I just don't care. Just play the games that's on the system you got. And if you can't play it because it's on a different system that you don't have, then oh well, you know, get your money up and get that system if you want to play it. Or, you know, back in my day, we used to go over our friend's house that had that system and play the game there. You know, if you can't afford a Nintendo and a Genesis, if you got the Nintendo and he got the Genesis, he come over and he play your Super Nintendo and you go over there and you play his Genesis or whatever, and you got to play all the games that way. I'm grown now. I have a job and I can afford to buy, whatever system I want. So, cool. Everybody may not be able to do that, but in this day and age, if you can, well, I'm not going to do that, because in this day and age, people still have the same money problems that my people had when I was younger. So I'm not saying this day and age nothing, especially when stuff is, just as expensive as not expensiver. So I will not get into that, because in this day and age, people still are poor, just like we were. So, but also, there are a lot of ways that you can get access to things if you don't own them yourself. And like I said, back in my days, we used to have friends that had different systems, and that's still, a way you can do it. And so, there you go. Also, everybody don't get to play everything. Sometimes you just have to miss out on something if it's releases on something that you don't have. There's nothing in this world that says that you have a right to experience everything. If you don't have it, then you ain't got it, and let's move on. But let's move in this conversation to a whole different philosophy or track that I, necessarily don't want to go down or whatnot. So back to Sony and Bungie, and like I said, that changes the narrative. But the other thing with the Bungie acquisition that came out is that Sony says that they want to have 10 live service games by, I believe, 2026. So, and that's one of the main reasons that they are purchasing Bungie, because this is a live service game. And so they, and it's a pretty good one. I don't necessarily like it, but it's still a pretty, very good. I'm even going to very good, because I've heard, mostly good stuff about it, and everything like that. I had the original Destiny, but it lost me. But just because it lost me doesn't mean it was a bad game. It's a good game for, like I said, people that play it, that like it, that love it. And that's fine. But Bungie is one of the leaders in live service. That's a fact. So Sony bought them because they want 10 live service games in the next 4 years. Next 4 years. And so that raises a different question as to, because one of the things with live service games is that they're usually multi-platform. They're usually on the PC, and the PC will talk with the console or whatever, whichever console or whatever. So you're gonna have at least 10 games in the next 4 years. 4 years. Excuse me, 4 years. They want to release 10 10 live service games, which means that 10 games that's going to play with, at the very least, the Sony PlayStation 4 and the PC. I can almost guarantee that it's going to come out on the PC and the PlayStation 5, and they're going to talk to each other. That's minimum. I doubt that they would have live service games for the PS5 exclusively, PS5 and PS4 at this point, but at some point they'll stop developing for the PS4 and focus exclusively on the PS5, but that'll be after these chip shortages and they get more PS5s out there. But as of right now, they still talking about PS4 and PS5 and most likely PC. But these are live service games, and they want 10 of them out in the next 4 years. So they are going to rely or lean on Bungie's expertise and live service games to get that out. But to me, like I said, when I hear live service games, I think of multi-platform. Call of Duty Warzone is a live service game. Fortnite is a live service game. Apex Legends is a live service game. PUBG is a live service game. So you got all these games, and one of the things that they have is that they are across all platforms. And they also, like I said, is allowing Bungie to continue putting their games where they want them. So Destiny is already, a multi-platform game that's on the PlayStation, Xbox, PC. I don't know if it's on the Switch. It's most likely not. But it's already all those places. So, and they're getting Bungie's expertise. So these 10 live service games from Sony could show up on the Xbox. And again, it's kind of weird, kind of out there, kind of, whatever. But, it kind of makes you change your perspective, maybe, if this actually does happen, of Sony being the big bullies. Well, I should say my perception, not yours, but my perception of Sony being the big bullies, and since they had the market share, not wanting to play nicely with everybody else, and becoming more like inclusive and whatever. And to me, that's welcome change. I don't know what it's going to do for people when they're, the ammo that they need to keep, this console war, going or whatnot. But, again, like I said, it'll be a welcome change, and I'm looking forward to it. The last thing that I mentioned was Nintendo. They also recently had an acquisition. Unfortunately, well, again, like I said, they are acquiring SRD. Unfortunately, I know nothing about SRD, and it's all I know is that they are a company that has been working with Nintendo since forever, and sort of like one of those support studio type things or whatever, and they're acquiring them, and as far as I could tell, it's business as usual, whatnot. So it's Nintendo's buying somebody that's been helping them go along or whatnot, and that's fine. But want to keep them into the conversation since this is acquisition talking. They just made an acquisition, so I gotta mention them. There is a whole nother thing. This video is, I've been talking for a while, y'all. For this 68 minutes, and I didn't even get to a whole nother thing, so I'm gonna stop it here. Anybody that made it all the way here, you guys are angels in disguise. I just want you to know that right now, because I don't know if I can listen to someone talk about video games for over an hour. And, I hope the information has been, I know I can listen to someone talk about video games for over an hour, but I don't know if anybody can listen to me talk about video games for over an hour. And if you did, definitely let me know. Like I mentioned it. Yeah, actually, yes. If that happens, please, you are required to put in the comments that you made it to the end of this damn video, and I will applaud you. Speaking of applaud, I'm going to shout out a few of the podcasts that I've been listening to that's been giving me all this information. It's going to be Double Barrel Gaming, Breakfast with Boom, and the Xbox Factor podcast, and all his various shows. Boomstick SL, wonderful host or whatever. You also got the Iron Lords podcast. When the Microsoft news broke, they had an epic 6-hour. They had an epic 6-hour podcast or whatever they stream on Sundays, the Lord's Day, and they had an epic thing that brought a whole different light to things. This one is new to me that I met through those other two is Hogue Law. He has a channel, Virtual Legality, but he's been popping up on these different things because he's an actual lawyer and he works in different mergers and things like that. So he has different knowledge about it, and he's been dropping gems of knowledge and everything like that. And like I said, I just learned of this particular fellow within like the last month, and I like him. So gave him a good shout out. And those are the main ones that's popping into my head. I know it's more, but there we go. So thanks to these guys for their opinions, and like I say, I like to listen to a whole range of people and then kind of take on all the information and bring it all in, and then here's my output. So just on that stuff, this is my output. Again, thank you for everyone that's made it all the way to the end of the video. I do appreciate it. This has been P1553D Gaming. I'm gonna come right back with another video. It's gonna deal with acquisitions, but it's gonna be more speculation based on a couple things that we know is going on. And I think it might be all Microsoft. I think. I have to think about it. But I think it's everything else. It's all might be. Regardless, that's it for now. Actually, it's not all Microsoft. But that's it for now. We're gonna go ahead and call it. Thanks to everybody else. Oh, no. That is not it. Also want to shout out my boy Zach. He did me an intro. He did me an outro. I'm going to try to put this together or put that in the front and back of this. I don't know how. I'm going to see if I can figure it out. If it has one in the front, I did it. If it doesn't, I still got some learning to do, but I do thank Zach and his company, Live Life to the Fullest, LLTTF. And yeah, thanks a lot, Zach. I appreciate you, bro. Have a great day, everybody.